Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack. I'm here with Kev and Ashley. It has finished Man City 3, Liverpool 0. And let's be honest, Ashley, Liverpool were well and truly beaten and hungry. And I'm not really there is one decision we could talk about, but if we're being truthfully honest, Liverpool were the races and City were very, very good.
Yeah, we got beaten by the better team today. Similar lineup to what we saw, actually exactly the same lineup to what we saw against Madrid. Completely different performance from our team. And completely different performance from the other team as well. I think that they were much, much better than Madrid. I think we tried to do, a very, very similar approach, and we just got absolutely schooled. There's a lot of things that need adjusting. There's a lot of things that need fixing. There's a lot of performances that just weren't there today. I don't know if you want to use fatigue as an example of why that happened. We'll go through all the details, but it was just all around not the performance that we were expecting or hoping for today.
Yeah, Kevin, we could talk about the fatigue thing. The bit I've had a bit struggle with the fatigue thing is that they did have a 5-day gap, and they kind of knew this was a game you're going to have to run with City because you always have to do. You're always going to get run by City. So, shouldn't you have spotted this in training? And if anyone looks slightly fatigued, you had fresh options to bring in that could have done that. So, the fatigue thing's a little bit. To us, we just looked overawed. I think we looked overawed, and I think you tend to see heavy legs when you're a bit overawed and a bit like, oh shit, this is a bit. To be honest, it just looked like it was too hard.
Listen, we done the pre-match show with Gav on Friday night, and the one thing I said, look at who they play at left back, and that'll tell you how City are going to approach the game. I was really hoping that Guardiola would play at left back, and they didn't. The lineup that they put out told you exactly what they were going to do. They're going to press the living daylights out of us and suffocate us on the ball and not let us get out. And that's what they did. They moved the ball really quick when they had it. And when they turned it over, they pressed like a pack of fucking animals to win it back. And we struggled. We really struggled retaining possession, retaining meaningful possession. Anytime we tried to go long, we couldn't hold it up. Turned it back over, and it was rinse and repeat. They just went again. The game was over at halftime. When you were 2-0 down at halftime, and they were a bit leggy at halftime as well. It was like, yeah, you can say fatigue, but the fatigue comes from the way City approached their passing. They moved a lot faster than what Madrid did, and that in turn means you can't. If you're going to press, you have to press in a pack, or you get picked off. And the way we were trying to press, it wasn't accurate, it wasn't deliberate enough, and they just played through it, played around it, and you're scratching it. You're sprinting too much, you're making too many runs, you're not getting any end result out of it, and ultimately City punish you. And the pain in the arse is the 2 goals came from 2 massive deflections, all from not getting out to the ball.
Yeah.
Ultimately. And it's like, I suppose the only thing you could say is you watch them for half an hour pressing and trying to get out to the ball, and the one time they didn't, they pick you off. And if you do get to the ball and you don't get there quick enough, they play around you, make you look stupid, and then get at you that way. Ultimately, you got to take your hat off to Man City. They were fucking brilliant in that first half. That's as good as I've seen them on the ball in an opponent's third, maintaining meaningful possession in a good while. And, drop your hat to them. They were good. They were really, really good. And I don't care what changes you could have made to that 11 today. They're a year ahead of their development than where we are. And they're just better than us on the day.
Yeah.
You can come up with any excuse you want. We've never had an easy game at the Etihad. Under Klopp, under Slot, under anyone, under Brendan. You've never had a fucking easy day at the Etihad. And today was no exception.
I think today feels like, Ashley, I don't know if you agree, is, listen, you can play at your best at losing the Etihad. I mean, I still remember the 2-1 loss, with the late Firmino goal. It was one of the best games of football you'll see. City on the day edged it, and look, it's one of them you just sort of go, it happens, we play well, but I just don't feel Liverpool either equipped themselves or acted like. I never felt at any point, especially the second half, we looked like City were in trouble. I actually felt City, that felt one of their easier games. Yeah, take that comment down because
No, I'm not going to take it down because Steve obviously thinks I'm talking shite. Can Steve come back into the comments, or if you want, Steve, I'll send you a link and you can come on and tell me how I'm talking shite. What part of shite was I talking? Just come into the chat and we'll have a conversation about it. No problem.
Listen, also, guys, do you think we enjoy talking about the applause lines? We don't. So if you want to have a conversation, have a conversation. You're just going to tell people they're talking shite or, this person out or that player's shit, and you've got no response other than that. Go and give your head a wobble. Anyway, Ash, let's talk about let's talk about the penalty.
Do you want to just talk about lineups first, just so that we can kind of get that out of the way? Because the penalty is going to be a big talking point. I feel like, can we start at the beginning? Because I don't know if this was the right. I don't know. I have big issues with what we did in this game.
I think everyone expected. I think most people expected that lineup. So we could all be a little bit wiser for the event. I mean, listen, there's an argument. Is that the line we should play against City? I mean, judging by it today, no. But I can't imagine anybody was coming up and saying anything dramatically different to that lineup. Maybe Gakpo in for Wirtz, or maybe you start at Kirkes. But I don't think there's any dramatic changes. So the lineup didn't surprise me, to be honest. But what do you think of it?
I mean, I wasn't on the pregame show with you guys, and one of the things that, if you look back to the City game where we were successful at Etihad last year, it was a wildly different structural setup than what we saw today. Personnel, you could still do the exact same thing that we did last year. We chose not to. I talked to you guys a little bit during the game, and I said, I think this team is so low on confidence. It's so kind of, I don't want to call it poorly drilled, but it's in a scenario where it can kind of only play well one way right now, where it felt like maybe Slot felt like, I can't ask these players to do a different system. I can't do Jones and Szoboszlai the way that we were so successful last year. I'm curious to see if you thought that there was any chance of that even being a possibility, because for me, like I said, I know we were trying to do what we did against Madrid, but this City team is too good to do what we were doing. Like, our press was completely ineffectual. They were passing it around us. Like, all of the things. Last year, we really sat off, let City come on to us, and then we came on the counter, and it was effective. It was taking our medicine, and it was a little bit like PSG, where you kind of soaked up a shit ton of pressure, but at least you weren't chasing shadows. We were saying all through the game to the three of us, we're chasing fucking shadows. Like, it's not, the press is not working. Like, Wirtz basically, was just chasing around. Ekitike touched the ball like 2 times over the course of the entire first half. We had more possession. We were doing nothing with it. So I guess, just to summarize my giant tangent, do you think that that was the right way to set up? Do you think it's the only way that we can set up right now with these players?
I thought he might, because of his comments post-match of Madrid, he said you either press high against Madrid or you do low block. You do the middle bit. I thought that was a hint that we were going to do rope-a-dope. Sit deep, as you said, take your medicine, and look for cleverness on the break, which is Wirtz looking for a pass and looking for the likes of Ekitike and Salah to get in behind. Or Dom Szoboszlai's deep run. That's what I kind of thought. But I'll be honest, we actually did the one thing Slot said he doesn't want to do. I think we're kind of like in the middle, bit of a mid block, because in like we sometimes pressed, sometimes we didn't, which I'll be honest gave Doku so much. Listen, credit to Doku, because we all took the piss out of Doku last year. And he was pretty average in terms of final ball, had no end product, just a bit of a headless chicken. The way he played today was brilliant. He kept dropping into awkward pockets, then drifting out wide, and he had an end ball, and he had a way of upsetting the team. So, yeah, you've got to give it credit. Liverpool struggled with Doku. I don't think we covered Bradley enough to help him out. But you've got to give Doku credit. I think Doku played really well. I mean, he was influential, Kev, for the first goal. Well, sorry, the penalty.
Jeremy Doku, the difference between Doku and Vinicius and Bradley. Bradley managed him really well. Doku, when he was taking Bradley on, he was actually breaking through the tackle. So it's like the times when Vinicius was playing against him, Gravenberch was over as the second man, almost forcing him to come back on himself. Doku didn't. Doku took him on, and I think 2 or 3 times he broke through the tackle. And look, what can you do? You've got 2 guys out there, and when he breaks through your tackle, you can either lunge in and snap him one, stop him running at you, but it's not going to. So I think he did as well as he could. And the only thing you'd say for the first half is he didn't really get a final delivery. He didn't get a final ball in off of on Bradley's side. The goal, different kettle. It's a different kettle of fish from the second from their third goal. Their third goal. We'll get to that later. But I don't know what more you could have done. I think the difference between the 2 sides is City had like 4-1, 4-1. Gonzalez kind of sat, but the other 4 in front of Haaland were really fluid. And when they were creating overloads, they didn't leave a guy out on the opposite wing. Whoever was playing on the right wing tended to be really central, and the other 3 were creating passing options all the time. And that allowed them to move the ball faster, looking for passes inside. And you can say we weren't aggressive enough in the press. We probably weren't. But at the same time, it's catch-22. If you're more aggressive, they play 1-2 around you in the ring. So it's like you got to look at where their actual goals came from. Was Robertson not getting out to a cross and a deflection off Ibu's head that he really should do better with in the first place. But ultimately, that's where their only threat come from. Mamardashvili didn't. I think they had the 2 shots that they scored from, the penalty save, and 1 other shot in the first half. So for all of their possession and their attacking stats and everything that they look good doing, it was our own. It was 2 really bad errors from us not being awake for a corner, and not getting out to a cross that ultimately fucked us. I think Slot's game plan, if you want to call it one, get to halftime, stay in the game as long as possible. The game will open up in the second half. I think that's probably what he was trying to. That has to be what he was trying to do. But when it didn't work, and when we went 1 down, the real worry is that we don't look like we think. It looks like 1-0 is a real gut punch, and it looks like there's no coming back from it. Especially away from home.
Yeah,
away from home. That's a real worry.
Doesn't matter if it's away from home or
no.
At home.
I know, but
I know it's worse, but just statistically, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah,
if
I know.
we go 1-0 down, we lose the game this year.
Yeah,
if we go 1-0 up, we win the game. There's no in between for us.
It just seems to be away from home. We're conceding that first goal a lot more, and we don't adapt. We don't have a way of adapting, and there didn't seem to be any confidence in trying to play through their press. And when it wasn't working playing through it, they were really clever in what they did with Haaland as well. Getting Haaland out onto Van Dijk, making sure Konate was the only option, and then pressing off of Konate's pass. So they obviously looked to Konate and said, okay, look, he doesn't really have a long pass in him, and anything that he goes short with will be up whoever's backside to make sure we snap back into it, because the options that he was having to pass it to, into Gravenberch or McAllister, because it was never the 2 of them, it was only ever one, into Salah's feet and over the top into Ekitike, which was never really on. So our options of passing out through from the back were really limited. And when you look at how easy City played out from the back, through Donnarumma, out through the thirds, we were never in the same hemisphere as them in the first half. Never in the same planet, with how easy they were able to manage and pass their way through us. So yeah, I get the frustration on that completely.
Yeah, let's talk about the first big incident then, Ashley. So it's the penalty. So ball goes in behind, which Doku and Bradley are chasing for. Konate comes across, which is what he should do, to cover him. Gets his clearance all kinds of wrong, basically cracks it straight into Bradley. Ball falls to Doku. He goes to go around Mamardashvili, goes to ground, and then I think ball falls to Bernardo Silva, hits Sober's line, goes out. So it goes to VAR check. being honest, live, I thought he looked a pen. When I saw the replay, I thought, yeah, his knee clipped his ankle, but they're always giving us pens. I think it's one of those ones where I think roles reversed. If that was on Salah and we didn't get that, there'd be lots of us on this show going, that's fucking ridiculous. Why have you not given that pen? So to me, I was a bit like, we've been punished for a bit of sloppy defending, and at that, we've seen plenty of players. That speed doesn't take much to clip them. So I don't think there's much Mamadashvili can do, but I think it's a pen.
Yeah, I need to watch this again because initially I didn't have a problem with it being given as a penalty, but some of the replays that I've seen show Doku going down before the contact with, so it's the trailing knee of Mamadashvili that actually gets Doku, but he's falling before that. So he's falling thinking that Mamadashvili's foot is going to make contact with him, and he is already falling down, and then the trailing knee hits Doku, and I think that he gets lucky there because that makes it a penalty. But I actually think that Doku is initially trying to buy this penalty, and I think that the trailing knee is what kind of turns it over in the referee's mind. And when he goes to the monitor and you see that, like, I don't think that you can overturn it because there is contact there, but like, I don't think that the amount of contact is justified with the fall, if that makes sense. I think that Doku's fall is completely overly engineered. And if you watch it in stages, I actually think the fall starts before the contact happens.
What do you think, Kev?
First thought, I thought he left his leg there to find the contact because he's trying to change direction. He's trying to change direction and push off of his left foot to change direction. He catches him. Once it's given on the pitch, I think it was given on the pitch, wasn't it?
No.
No?
It was not given on the pitch.
It wasn't given on the pitch.
They said go and have a look at it.
Okay. Look, there is contact. He does catch his standing foot. It is with his knee. It's one of them. If you feel the contact, you go down. And yeah, you've seen him given more often than not.
Yeah.
But it's like, it wasn't like you see, remember when Sadio used to leave his leg there? Or Suarez made a fucking living at it at Liverpool.
Perez was excellent at it.
Yeah, just leaving your leg there for it to be hit. It wasn't one of them. There was contact there. And more often than not, you are going to see that given. So yeah.
I think we should put that one in good process.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm pretty sure he's falling before that knee makes contact. I think it's actually a dive that he gets fortunate that Mamadashvili's knee makes contact. So that's what makes it a penalty in the end, but it's one of those kind of nuanced ones. I think that the fact that he's diving happens first.
Yeah. We'll definitely have a look at that behind on Patreon for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about the penalty there, because it's a really good save. Really good save.
Yeah. It was. Read it really well. When he saved it, and the initial commentary was, they're checking it to see if he had his foot on the line. He had his foot well behind the line. And he just read him really well. If you're going, I always look at it for any penalty taker. If you're going across your body, you really need to be going high. And when you go across your body and the ball is going along the ground, you're giving the keeper every chance because he sees where you're planting your standing foot. And I remember watching. It was years and years and years ago. I was at this event, and Peter Shulton was there, and he was doing like a class, like it was like a talk about it. And he used to say that keepers used to watch the standing foot to see which direction that was pointing as to where the ball was going. And I was like, yeah, they really don't do that, but they actually fucking do. And if you try to kick across your body, you open out your standing foot, so you're giving the keeper a clue as to where you're going to go. And once you go along the ground, you're giving the keeper every chance. It was a brilliant save, got it out from his body, got it away. And, but at the time, you're like, yeah, they're really building. The pressure is really, really fucking building. And, let off, 100% let off. It wasn't a case of, justice for a harsh decision, but it was like, yeah, please God. We've had a ropey it was a ropey start to the game, full stop.
Yeah.
It was a really bitty first 10 minutes. And when that came up, you're like, okay, fine. Have a fucking chat. Have a reset. See if there's something on the pitch you can try to do a bit better. Of working a way out to try to pass through this lot. But it just was like more of the same. It just kept coming and coming and coming.
Which led to the goal, actually. I mean, I think they said on my comms, every outfield player touched the ball. But ultimately, when the ball comes in, I can't remember for the replay. Kev, you said it was Rob. I thought it was Vert. Whoever it was is close to Nunes. He's got all the time in the world to stop.
That was Robbo.
And it's a great cross. He can't, but it's a great cross because he's got no pressure on him. And that's been my frustration the whole game is, yes, you can be chasing shadows. Yes, you can say City are playing well. But basics of stop the cross is not. That doesn't matter what tactics you do or how many new players you add in. Yeah. Stopping crosses is quite a basic part of football. And there's a significant lack of effort to do that. And then Ibu does not get off the ground, Ash. But looks like he's tried to flick the header on rather than, I don't know.
He gets contact with it.
Yeah, but he's flicked it basically onto Haaland. I don't know why he's trying to flick it on. But, I mean, it kind of summed up Ibu's first half. He just had a mare first half. And City targeted him because they were quite happy for Ibu to have the ball, which makes sense because they don't want Van Dijk to have the ball because of the crossfield passes he can do and the added damage he gives us. Ibu doesn't have that in his game. But it kind of summed him up, really, wasn't it?
He's been all over the place this year. All over the place.
Yeah.
And I actually thought there was a call maybe to put Gomez in for this game. Again, we had conversations about don't tinker too much, stick with what you know. I get it. I wasn't angry with the fact that Ibu was starting, but I knew that it was going to be either Ibu has a fantastic game or he becomes the problem. And he's one of those players that can be easily rocked. So if something goes against him quite early in the game, which you saw, I think, in the penalty, it was just like his confidence was all over the shop. And because they were happy to let him have the ball, it felt like it was just kind of this repetitive thing where it would go to him and he really only has like one pass out. He just constantly...
Sorry, can we just interrupt? Thor wants to know, was Shilton a massive bell end like he normally is? Yes, okay. Sorry, Ashley.
Insufferable.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, getting back to the goal itself, I think it was 22 passes completed by City. It was a fantastic team move, reminiscent of the City of old. This felt like the City of old, actually. The whole performance felt like the City of old. It felt like, they were the ones that were having the renaissance, not us. And like Kev said, they're much further along in their development and all those things. They're also much further along in their financial backing, and they're also sitting under 115 charges, which is still looming over this fucking club. Whether they want to shove that under the rug or not, that's still there.
I mean, the thing was
friendly reminder to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with City is,
still there.
They had a big spend. They had a big spend of a rebuild in January, which probably started the work, and then they did a second. So they probably did the they did the rebuild over two windows. We've started ours over one. So, that
still
could be an
element.
That could be an element, but there's still elements of this season so far where you're going like,
the one thing I'll say,
money, there's some basics.
Listen, the one thing I'll say about their goal, that started in their corner, and they played out from that fucking brilliant.
So well.
Yeah.
So well.
What I remember texting into our group, that was brilliant.
Couldn't believe how they got out of it.
Fucking was.
They got out of our press so well.
We did. I thought we pressed them really well.
Yep.
In that corner, we pressed them really well. They had to pass. They were brilliant getting out from that. But once he got the ball out wide, Robertson has a decision to make. Nunes isn't. He's a midfielder playing on the wing. So Robertson has to just go out there and make that cross more difficult. Once he gets... It was very similar to Szoboszlai's free kick for McAllister's goal in that he had the time to pick the cross. He got the weight of it brilliant. And it was just a superb cross. Yeah, Ibu has to clear that. He has to be stronger there and make sure if you're going to flick it away, get your head on it and flick it away. He does that header quite a lot. Where a cross comes over and you look to flick it away from the goal out that side. And he does that quite a lot. He works most of the time. He just didn't today. And look, it is what it is. But for me, Robertson is the one who has to go out and make that cross a lot more difficult. Make him make a decision. Make him rush it. Make him do something. But you can't just stand there and wait for the ball. It was a sickener. It really was a fucking sickener. It was a really good fucking goal, to be fair. But there was more so. I think every City player touched it, bar the keeper. You know, it was just it was a brilliant fucking goal.
Yeah.
Not so much the finish. Forget about the finish. It was a brilliant team goal to get into that position. You know, the finish is the finish, but the rest of it, fucking fantastic football, to be fair.
And then this is probably the biggest one of the biggest frustrations is Liverpool take a corner, great header for Van Dijk. I'll say it now, Donnarumma is getting nowhere near that fucking header. No one complains, looks fine. VAR, Michael Oliver, who has suddenly decided he can make decisions because it's took him fucking 2 years to make one, decides that Robbo is in his eye line and has made himself an obstacle, despite the fact City scored a very similar goal there. And when you watch the replay, behind the goal, not on his eye line, he's getting nowhere near it. And would Liverpool got on to get a point out of the game? I don't know. But as we've said for Liverpool, goals change games. And if we'd got ourselves in at 1-1 or even 2-1, it's a different game. Or at least it's a different possibility of a different game. It's quite a big turning point. And for a big game, that feels like, Ash, by their own PGMOL bollocks that they've come out with, it feels like to me they've Oliver's messed up there.
So can we just talk through this, because this is it's not me crying. This wasn't going to change the result of the game. This was not why we lost the game. So just putting that out there to anyone that's in the comments, it's like, oh, they're going to blame the referee for losing the game. That's not it. But this was such a bad call. It was such a poor call. And the PGMOL came out afterwards and said that they had decided that Robertson was in the direct eye line of Donnarumma and that he made an action for the ball. Action for the ball is not ducking under the ball. That's not an action for a ball. So an action for the ball is, or an action that you can be deemed offside for, is if you're interfering by play by touching the ball, if you're interfering with an opponent by preventing the opponent from playing the ball, or if you're preventing the opponent from seeing the ball, so their clear line of vision, if you're preventing the opponent from challenging for the ball, or if you make an action that clearly impacts the ability of an opponent to play the ball. So Robbo does none of those things. He does nothing. Ducking is not an action that is, it's just not in the offside kind of reference book. He's not in Donnarumma's eyesight. If you look from behind the goal, he has a clear line of vision. Donnarumma's never getting there. He's never getting there regardless. Doku is the one that's in the eyesight of the keeper. And the fact that the linesman who is on the sideline is flagging for that call, he has no idea whether or not that's in Donnarumma's eyesight. No idea. And given the number of things that you allow for VAR to then be able to review, you don't flag for that there, in my opinion. You allow VAR to take their process. I mean, whether or not VAR takes the process regardless, because it's Michael Oliver and he does these things, that's fine. But the incident that you're talking about, before we move on, Chris, real quick, the incident that you're talking about is John Stones scoring in the Wolves game where Bernardo Silva ducked. The same referee, Kavanagh, was in charge for that. And he ultimately, in the beginning, he went over and he gave that goal on the day. Or no, he didn't give the goal. He gave it as an offside. And then he was instructed to go to the monitor. And he changed his mind, saying that it was a goal. So the same referee makes two completely different calls in two games for the exact same incident. We'll talk about it in Ref Watch again. There's so many things to do with Ref Watch. But the fact that it's the same referee for both incidents, two completely different decisions, just is driving me nuts, which is why I can't really speak properly right now.
I think there was a similar goal disallowed against, I think, Everton against Spurs. I think there was a similar incident. Everton had a goal disallowed because there's somebody near the keeper. But unfortunately, the thing we've always said, and we've said about Michael for a little while now, is he used to be arguably one of the best referees in England. But he's too, in my opinion, to make a decision or overrule anything. I can't remember the last time he overruled anything. You know, we remember the Doku kung fu kicking McAllister. Didn't want to see it. just said it.
I mean, there was overruling today. The penalty was an overrule.
Yeah,
like
just,
the no penalty given at the first half of this game was an overturn. So it's done. I mean, I think what you're seeing here is just like, again, it's just piss poor process. They made an error. That is a poor decision. I don't know, Kev. Do you agree with us? Do you think that we're crazy?
No, look, there's no way in hell that the linesman can make that decision. He puts his flag up because, look, they pushed out. Is he the last man? Yes. All right. And if you are having this discussion pre-VAR, you're sat there like, yeah, he's offside. You know, at the end of the day, he's in behind. He was caught inside. He's offside. The laws have changed so much in the last few years, especially when they talk about line of sight for goalkeepers. There's no way in God's green earth that the linesman can make that decision because he physically can't fucking see. You know, and at the end of the day, once he puts his flag up, they're not going to overturn it. That's a decision. Once he makes that decision to put his flag up, it's very rare to see a goal given by VAR, especially when the player is behind the last defender. So, look,
I find it bizarre though that in the day of VAR, the linesman needs to bother putting his flag up for something like that because he's like, surely his head is going, well, it might be offside, but VAR's going to check it anyway. So
exactly,
it's almost like it predetermines the decision, as you were saying.
It does. It does. Once the flag goes up, you've really got to turn around and overturn the linesman's decision. And the linesman's got to turn around and say, well, look, Robertson is behind the last defender when the ball is played. What do you want me to do? They have to start, and I hope during the international break, someone comes out from the PGMOL and makes a statement that in future, they're going to instruct the linesman in those kind of situations not to flag because they don't have the angles. They can't see what the goalkeeper sees, where all of the cameras on the pitch can see that. And they can make that decision much better, especially when the ball goes in, because the game is already stopped anyway.
Kev, but that shouldn't matter. That shouldn't matter. Even though he raises the flag, when they're reviewing it, they can clearly look at the angles from behind the net and they can see that Robertson is not in the eye line of sight. There are so many goals that we see where there is a player behind the last defender and that's not offside.
Yeah.
We've gone through this so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few that were just the other week that just happened.
Yeah.
And the fact that the PGMOL then doubles down on that explanation by releasing a statement saying that Robertson makes a direct action in front of
that just didn't happen. That just didn't happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So they're doubling down. It's one of those things where they're covering their friend, they're covering their asses, whatever. I mean, we should probably move on because I know people think we're talking in circles. But the fact that they were able to double down on the fact that they made an error, like just I don't know. For me, that doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, they're looking for the explanation to fit the decision.
Yeah.
Look, it is what it is. They didn't give it, and
the reaction though from Liverpool's not great.
No, it's not because I'm sat there looking. Just please keep it at half time. Get to halftime. Get to halftime.
We're all saying that
they put up 7 minutes, and it's like that's a long fucking time. Yeah, you know, they put up 7 minutes, and it's like just please, just hold on because they were over us like a rash, and it's like if you get to 1-0 at halftime, at least you're in it still. But we had a series of corners. Got the first one away, went out for a second corner, and they took it quick. We weren't alive to it at all. We weren't alive to the quick one. I think it was it might have been the first quick one that they took, and we just weren't alive to it. And from there, they worked the space, and we couldn't get out to block the shot. But even the deflection takes the keeper out of it.
I mean, maybe hypercritical, but even like Ekitike's effort, we'll call it that, to try and block the shot. It was just
a forward
run and jump in the air. It's like it's very basic stuff. Van Dijk, to be honest, looks a bit of a lazy leg. Now, I don't know if it's because Ekitike has jumped in front of his line of sight. He's not seen it, but keeper's got no chance. Ash, God, Mamardashvili, you always look at keep on it from distance there, but that deflection kills him. He's got no chance of getting it. But it kind of just summed up the first half, which is you've had a goal disallowed that probably shouldn't have been, but you haven't really been in the game at all.
But they were 2 deflected goals. I mean, the first one was deflected kind of off Konate onto Haaland. And then this was another deflection. I think it actually went through one of the players' legs as well. Like, there were so many elements of bad luck there. Yeah, we were completely outplayed. But the fact that the scoreline kind of looked the way it did, that felt more like it was just luck going against us than anything else. We had a game earlier this week where it felt like luck was in our favor, and today it just didn't. And sometimes, I mean, whether or not you believe in luck or not, like, for me, a big part of football is luck. And whether or not you're on top or not, again, I don't think that going into halftime, though, that scoreline was unjustified from City.
Yeah, I tend to find, it may sound harsh, teams that work hard tend to get lucky because you're putting more pressure on, which means you're more likely to get into a situation where ricochets go for you. If you're a bit slow to close down crosses, close down shots, you're in the wrong position, which tends to mean the deflections normally go against you. So I think the deflections, while you can't plan for them, I think you look at going, if you're pressing Nico quicker, you get a better connection on the ball, which maybe he doesn't deflect it. So I was at a half-time going, probably should be 2-1 because I just didn't agree with the Van Dijk goal. But did I think City looked 2 goals better than us? Yeah. And I think I messaged you guys, said, I don't see us coming back from 2-0 down at City. Actually, you pointed out that we have done it once before at City.
We did it once in 2008.
But that was under Rafa. We're talking Rafa Benitez, Dirk Kuyt, Torres days.
City have won each of their last 71 matches leading by 2 at halftime. They've never lost.
And I think
they're leading at halftime.
And I'm sure we probably have a similar record at Anfield if we're 2-0 at halftime. Generally when the home side's 2-0 at halftime, it's pretty rare they don't win, or at least the worst case.
I mean, the game was lost in that first half. 100%. It was lost in that first half.
But look, for me, the cross, the corner, the shot, you make your own look. You buy a ticket, you get a prize. I felt for Donnarumma in that because, he had a penalty save that, deserved. He read the penalty really well. Could do nothing. No, Mamardashvili, sorry, Mamardashvili. He could do nothing with the other two. The one that looped over his head, it was just gone from him. There was nothing he could do with that. And the deflection just took him out of it completely. The shots, if the shot's on target, straight through, he saves it. But and it was a slight deflection as well. Virgil almost fucking panicked, stuck half a foot out, and that was enough. If he'd have stood still, the ball probably fucking misses him. But he does what all centre backs do and all defenders do. They put a leg out, and sometimes it goes for you, sometimes it goes against you. And once they got the slight deflection, 2-0. And I felt sick at 2-0 because it's like you're going in a halftime, and with the way that they were playing and the way we were playing, there's very little chance of us getting anything out of this in the second half. Very little.
Yeah. And then I don't know, you guys, I think it's a fair criticism of the manager. I'm baffled that he didn't make any changes at half time because this felt as bad as the Brentford away performance where you go in, at Brentford where we got it to 2-1, you went, and he didn't make any changes. You're kind of going, just because it's 2-1, you still should make changes. And I was looking at that going, he needs to freshen something up. I'd have got Jones on at half time for McAllister. He's like, he'd gone. He looked gone. And maybe, like you said, Ashley, maybe he should have been ruthless like he was with Kwanzaa. Take Karate off, put Gomez on. Just say to him, you're playing shit. Get off. Because that was a hallmark of Slot last year. He was pretty brutal and ruthless when things weren't going right. So
I think that if this team was in a different place and hadn't had all of these recent losses and wasn't incredibly mentally fragile, they are mentally fragile. Let's just call it like it is. They are mentally fragile right now. I think he would have been more ruthless. I think that going into this game, if we had been on, if our run had been a little bit kinder and we had had a few more wins under our belt, maybe he would have done that. I honestly feel like he went into this match being like, I'm just going to stick with what I know, with what's kind of been working this week, and I'm not going to tinker too much. I'm not going to do what I have done in the past. I think he was afraid of making changes because he's found like this little thing that he's settled on. And like I said, they're so fucking fragile that I don't think that he's acting like he would normally. Do I think that's the right decision? I don't know. I don't know if that's the right call. I think there are plenty of players that could have deserved to get the hook there. But I don't know how many players would have actually changed the game. Yes, we could have hooked a McAllister for a Jones, or yes, we could have put on, you know, Gakpo for Verts or something like that, who I think did well when he came on.
If it's for Gakpo,
I will say
when he came on. I mean,
but
Mo,
like,
any of the front three could have gone. I mean,
hand on heart, made that argument for a lot of them, but like,
I said to you guys,
none of them really took the game by none of them really took the game by the scruff of the neck and decided, I'm going to be the one that changed that. And I don't really think that we have that person on our bench right now. I think that we have to kind of talk about the elephant in the room.
We do. He's made a, I was going to say, we do have that person. He's made a prawn crackers and we decided not to use him.
He's not fit.
But Kev, I think you and me disagreed in this. Look, Hugo, I'm not going to say he was fantastic or good or anything like that. He was very, very quiet. I personally, when he brought Gakpo on, I'd have took Verts off, because the one thing we did notice in the last... Now, again, I think it's more game state because it was a little bit open. City were pretty comfortable at 3-0. But we start getting crosses in along the box where you would have a number 9 running. And I kind of felt that's where you wanted Ekatike, because we put Verts false 9. He doesn't have that natural striker instinct, which is, I need to get in for a tap-in.
The argument is... We got the extra man. No, the argument is you play Verts in the false 9, you get the extra man in midfield.
Yeah,
and that's why we got the ball in the first place.
Yeah, so it's catch-22. But
yeah,
I mean, I'll be honest. Look, none of the front three did anything. Gakpo did okay.
The problem with Hugo in the first half was the fact that we couldn't get the ball into him.
Yeah,
and it wasn't him. It wasn't his fault. He did fuck all wrong. It was literally a case of, I think, as Ashley said, he touched the ball twice in the first half, something stupid like that.
5 times in the first half.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good a strike. You could have fucking prime R9 up front. If you can't get in the ball, you ain't doing shit. So at the end of the day, the problem was in midfield. We didn't have the numbers to outnumber them in midfield. They had 4v3 in there, and it was a constant problem. It was one I thought he would have addressed it at halftime. I honestly did think that he could have put Jones on probably for McAllister and looked to try to change it that way. But I don't think it would have made any massive difference. It would have probably helped us retain possession a bit better and get us up the pitch a bit easier. But I didn't mind the change with Verts going into the false 9, mainly because it created the extra man in midfield. It's a problem that you need someone, when he drops in, to create that extra man in midfield. Someone has to be making the run in behind him and run in beyond him. And the instincts, I think Domo is probably the only one that has that instinct. But whether he had the legs for it after the way he was running in the first half, I don't think he had. But by then you're chasing the game, and then City weren't pressing us in the second half like they were in the first, because look, they didn't have to. They dropped into shit. When we were on the ball, we were getting on the ball more in the second half. It was mainly because they dropped off into their shape. And we created, I think we got 2 really good chances in the second half that we should have scored from. But that has largely come from City having a 2-goal lead and the way they set up in the second half. More so that than how we were able to get at them in the second half, because if it was a live game, if they felt threatened in the game, I think they could have gone again, and we just didn't have an answer for it in the second half. It was like they let us have the ball in certain situations, but we didn't have any way of really threatening them.
It was men against boys.
It
really was. And we were so thoroughly outplayed by them. it doesn't matter if we sit and we talk about the penalty, or if we sit and we talk about the header that was still allowed or disallowed. Like, this was a full dismantling of this team. And, you know,
I forgot about Virgil's goal, yeah.
What?
I forgot all about Virgil's header.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be forgotten for everyone. But literally, this was a full dismantling, and that, you know, it doesn't really matter. There's no way of sugarcoating that.
I think 3-0. I think 3-0 is a fair reflection on the game.
Yeah, but it could have been more. Like, if they wanted to, there were so many chances that they missed. Like, the XG doesn't accurately reflect the game actually in this, because there were so many times where there were clear chances that they missed that really could have been in. And I think O'Reilly had one at the end where it was like a wide open net. But at the end of the day, like, we have to discuss the fact that, like, this team has fallen so far from where, like, we used to be toe to toe with City, and right now we are so far away from toe to toe with this City team. We're so far away.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can see. I've seen there's quite a few asking questions about the manager. Which, look, he deserves criticism. You can't lose this many games early and not face criticism. Ash has highlighted before. You know, we have to look at the recruitment, because there is a question of hindsight. Look, we were all excited for all these players, and you would think Liverpool would go on to be close to retaining, or at least be in the title race, which they're not, spending that level of money. But at the moment, I don't know whether it's changing too many players too soon, but the elephant in the room is, I don't know what our best 11 is, and I'm not sure the manager does. And
I don't think we were buying for a best 11, to be honest.
But I thought, hindsight's wonderful and all that sort of stuff, would you have stuck to a lot of last year's team, and then you would be like when Robbo came to the club and Fabinho, you barely saw him for the first 2-3 months. And then at the end of the season, they were the mainstays, and the regular left back and DM we've got, whether they were squad players. I wonder if we were going to look at that route, but, you know, the manager decided to go down more of a...
Circumstances dictated a lot of that as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's no perfect answer for this at all.
Yeah. You're dealing with a live, fluid situation as well, with the likes of McAllister. McAllister's last 2 games before today, you're like, he's back to his best. You know, he was back. He was played really, really well against Villa, and he played brilliantly against Madrid. So, you know, it's like today, just it wasn't on it. And if you go to the Etihad with any squad, doesn't matter who it is, if you don't have enough players on it, you can't carry passengers. We had way too many passengers today, and we got what we deserved at the end of it, and we got well beaten by a side who were better on the day. And comfortably better, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why we don't have the best record away there. You know, they're a fucking good side, and you do need things to go for you as well, and they didn't. So you combine all of that with the fact that they were on it, we weren't. We were well beaten. Take your medicine, you go off into the international break, and come back to hopefully try to put a run of games together. You know, just try to start putting a run of wins together. That's all you have to do. That's all you can do. The squad isn't going to change. And for all of the people in the chat talking about sack the manager, this, that, and the other, I'd like to introduce you to Liverpool Football Club and go and have a look at the amount of managers Liverpool Football Club have actually had since 1892. We don't just sack managers for a run of a few bad results, especially when they win the league the year before. So, I mean,
even Hodge
catch on to yourself.
Even Hodge got longer than we thought he would.
Yeah, catch on to yourself a small bit. Like have a fucking think about what you're thinking about. I mean, it hurts losing away to City in the manner that we've lost. But I didn't see a single one of you in the chat after the Madrid game talking about sack the manager. I didn't see a single one of you in the chat after the Villa game saying sack the manager, or talking about the games beforehand after a win. You know, it hurts now, but he's not going anywhere. The squad isn't changing until it can be added to, and it is what it is. He's got to find solutions with what he's got.
Look, we all know certain accounts will appear when we lose, and then you don't see them. So if Liverpool go on a winning run, there are certain accounts we won't see for 2 or 3 weeks. That's just the way it is. Is this still saying the manager is completely bulletproof asset price. No, we've all got criticisms of him. We're not happy with the way things go, and you don't want to get 11 games a season losing 5.
But he's not going to get sacked. So
no, he's got he's still got enough credit. I think eternally he's got enough credit at the bank. Where I think the pressure will tell on the manager is we come back on the 22nd. Our next game is 22nd of November.
Yeah,
we've got 11 games in that period, 2 Champions League games and 9 Premier League games.
Yeah,
this is not counting your chickens. On paper, he's got to be looking at probably the Champions League, a win and a draw. And I think in those 9 games, he's going to be looking at 7 to 8 wins. I think that's the pressure he's going to be under. And I think if he gets to the Arsenal game and we've barely won a game, he will be in serious trouble. Because I think this run after Christmas, there's no hiding place because
they're all games you're expected to win.
I think the toughest ones are Spurs away because you can't, quite frankly, just don't know which Spurs side will turn up. And on their day, Spurs could be a pain, as we've seen. Fulham away is a bit of a funny one for us. It always has been. Brighton at home because Brighton are just one of those sides that
they just don't travel well.
Yeah, but they don't travel well. So, but the rest of them, Forest, West Ham, Leeds, Wolves, Leeds again.
Yeah,
we're playing a lot of sides that are near the bottom.
Yeah, they're games you have to be winning.
This is where I'm going to say there's no hiding for managers. Whoever you pick, most of them have to be wins. Yeah. And if they aren't wins, big pressure will be rampant in them.
I said it the other night to Gav. Gav asked me the question, if we lose, are we out of the title race? And I said, yeah. And despite the Arsenal result, that loss today, we're out of it. We're out of a title race.
I can only think of 2 occasions where an 8-point gap's been caught up. One was City, and one was Arsenal many moons ago.
It's not the points gap. It's on the pitch. It just doesn't fucking look right. The balance just doesn't look right. And Villa result aside, we're still conceding too many, and we still don't look enough of a threat in the opposition box. That's just on the space of the season so far. That's just the reality of it. Are we in a battle to get into the top 4? Yeah. Arsenal will be in, City will be in, and then it'll be us, Chelsea, and whoever else is around. It's still a fucking long way to go, and I fully expect top 4. So,
you can't spend 400 million. Yeah. Granted, there were some that were there was money that was recouped. You can't spend $400 million and break a title-winning team. You can't. That's not okay. And there are things that are extenuating circumstances. I fully believe that there was a plan in place, and this is a very sensitive topic, but pre-Jota, I think there was a plan in place. I think they were buying for a certain plan. I think they were hoping to use the summer because they had no Euros, no World Cup. I think they were planning on using this summer to really transition this team into a slightly different style. And then you had the tragedy that was Jota, which meant that there was no real preseason for any of these players. And there was no opportunity for Slot to instill the new system that maybe they were buying for. Maybe they were buying for a system where they thought they had time, and that time was taken away by circumstances completely beyond their control. And when we look at Slot, and when we're calling for Slot out, just remember, and I know that the whole, this team is grieving, this team is doing things, I know that that's been said over and over and over again, but also remember that strategy and long-term outlook is not a 1-month thing. This was planned for over the whole course of last year. That summer was planned for over the entire course of last year. And one singular event could have thrown the whole thing off. And they're still reeling from that. And we have to give them a chance to try to rectify it. It does not look right at all. It does not look like the players that we purchased make sense for this system that Slot's playing. It feels like Slot has reverted to a thing that he feels like I'm just trying to kind of stabilize the ship right now. I don't think this was the plan. I don't think this is the direction he wanted to go. But I think what he's realized is that trying to instill a new system with new players right now, you can't do it. You can't do it mid-season. He didn't have the chance to do what he wanted to do. And I don't know if buying new players in January will help or hinder. The opportunity is there. I hope they seize it. But, what I'm hoping for, again, we saw what happened in the last international break. He had some time to kind of put his head together with some of his other coaches and things like that. Hopefully he'll do that again this time. Hopefully they'll come up with some sort of plan. I think that at least, I know it didn't work today, but I think that this particular kind of iteration of Liverpool can at least work for those next 11 games that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I think that if you can kind of just get this to work, sort of the old Liverpool that we had from last year, I think that we can get through these next 11 games. I think the question is what happens in January and what does the second half of the season look like? And I think that a big part of that also is getting your fucking record signing on the fucking pitch. Because the fact that we have Isak sitting there, we
didn't bother using him.
I mean, we didn't bother using him, which tells me he wasn't fit, which is fine. Hopefully he doesn't go away to Sweden, because if he goes away to Sweden, I don't know what we're doing, because they're not going to qualify. So unless they're going to use that as an opportunity to kind of gain his fitness, I don't know. But if he's not, get him on the fucking pitch.
The bit I don't get is if he's not fit, don't have him in the squad. And I don't care if we're 3-0 down. You may as well use the last 15 minutes, just get some minutes in his legs.
Because I don't think you can risk it with him. That's the problem. You have to manage him.
If putting him on for the last 15 minutes when you lose 3-0 is a risk, don't have him in the squad then.
That's fair. That's fair.
Spend the next 2 weeks getting him fit.
That's fair.
As Klopp say, and it used to be a thing. I don't want certain players on the bench because I'll be tempted to use them. When he knows certain players, they're saying he can only do 10 minutes, and Klopp was admitted he put players on longer than he should have done because he just wanted to use them. So if he's fit enough to be on the bench, then he's fit enough to do some time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So you may as well use him, even for the long-term game, of getting some fitness and sharpness in his legs. Otherwise, it was a waste of place. You may as well.
I think that he's gone. You don't waste. I think they know, is he in a place where he can play or not? I don't know. Having him on the bench has some sort of psychological impact where it's maybe that's in the back.
I think it raised more questions. I think it raised more questions when they're losing and they're going they're not bringing him on at any point.
If it's 2-1 to 10 minutes to go, to throw him on.
Yeah.
At 3-0, they're not going to bother because I think they probably do want to pull him from the Sweden squad. Graham Potter has taken over the Sweden job. He'll probably want to take him out there, have a look, and assess him himself. Because at the end of the day, if he wants to take that job on personally, full time, they've already lost Gyökeres.
Yeah, he's
from the squad.
He's
gone. Yeah, he's gone. So Sweden will want to take him out, like France did with Ibu as well. They'll take him out. They'll assess him themselves, and if he's not ready, they won't risk him. The club will pull him if they think there's any slight risk. So I'm not too worried about that. But I'd imagine Swedish FA will want to assess him themselves. Thor's asking there, Kev, do you think we can get it back into the title race? No. Simple question. No. That's just.
I think we need to stabilize the fucking ship and just honestly get a plan going forward. I actually think the top 4 is not an unreasonable aim at this point for this team, but I think that that's where we're at. We've been kind of holding on to delusions of grandeur for a little while, but if you watch this team and you watch all of the problems with this team, I actually think the top 4 is something that might be concerning. It depends on how we use this next period. But it's not a fluke when you lose this many games in a row. It's not and it's not a blip. It's a systemic issue.
I mean, look, any side could go to the Etihad and lose. That's
the manner, isn't it?
I've seen City do that to plenty of good sides. That just because of last season, people write City off. I think they're better than ours. I think they're favourites for the title. I said it a while ago as well. I think they're clicking into gear at the right time, and they look like they're going to go on a run as well. And the key thing for them at the moment is the fact they've got so many players available and fit. The only one they're really missing is probably Rodri. And Kovacic is back at some point, he's got to come back into it. But they're the only 2 that they're missing. And Rodri is literally, he'll be back after the international break. So that's a massive help. and I don't care what club it is. If you've only got one key player injured and you've got the rest of your squad available to you, you're going to be in a fairly healthy spot.
I mean, City are an example to look at is, I've seen a lot of people talk about the tactics, saying, not all our players can be crap. It's all on the manager. Very similar chat was happening about City last season. Lots were saying Pep doesn't know how to get this side going. And City went on a run of 8 defeats out of 11 and spent a lot in January, got themselves top 4, spent a decent amount this summer, and now got themselves aligned. Sadly, as much as we would love all that money being spent and we'd have just stayed top, which I think is what we'd all kind of hoped, maybe this looks like it could be one backward step to go forward, which is not ideal. But
it's not ideal, but it is.
Not ideal, but it is what it is. We can't keep. I understand people being upset and I understand people being angry. And look, everyone to their own. There's only a level of doom and gloom I can go to without we do this. And people want to be smart asses, try and call people out. It's fine.
Like Chris, we talked at the beginning of this week, and we said what would constitute a successful, difficult week. Like, this was a really, really tough fucking week for this team. Keeping in mind, I think I said 2 wins and a draw. I think we all kind of said 2 wins and a draw. So you're basically 1 point off of the goal. Like I don't know. I mean,
I think I said I wanted, being selfish, 2 wins in the league and a draw in the Champions League. But if it's spelled the other way around, I'd have took it. So I know what you're trying to say. We're only a point off probably the expectation we wanted.
I'm not saying that all is well in Liverpool land. I'm just saying, we can look at the negatives. We can also kind of just let's just be realistic where we are at. We're not at the bottom of the table. We're also not necessarily challenging for the title right now with this team, with this squad. Like, we are kind of somewhere in the middle. It's not. I mean, if you want to say slot out, that's up to you in the chat. Like, that's your prerogative. You can do whatever you want. We don't have to agree with that, but
no. The only question I have for people who are slot out, and I've asked a few in the chat, and I've got the same answer back, which is, okay, he goes this international break. We get rid of him. But realistically, are you bringing in, or who realistically do you think will get this right? And I've had the same, anyone or someone has the bollocks to drop Salah, but you can't name it.
It's just not the way that this particular club functions.
And I'm not saying you don't sack a manager because you can't find anyone else, but there has to be a plan, because we've seen clubs that have sacked managers without a plan, and that's even worse. I mean, Christ, look at Forest. Every 6 weeks as a new manager. I mean, I was worried for, I'll be honest, Kev, I was worried for Sean Dyche when he was 1-0 down to Leeds. I honestly thought Brendan Rodgers would be there in 3 weeks' time. May still happen, yeah. Who knows with Forest?
Yeah, it's a crazy fucking league to see.
Yeah, look. It is. But listen, let's do man of the match, honourable mention, and the rest of the shit. And then we'll do Ashley's quote corner. Ashley, you can have the easy job. You can go first.
Okay. I think the only person that walks off that pitch with any sort of credit is Marmadashvili for saving that penalty. I genuinely think that I don't know. I think a lot of people are giving him shit because he's not Alisson, and I don't think he could do anything about those 2 other goals. I just don't. I think they were either looping over him or they were deflected. I also think that Szoboszlai played like himself, but not well. So he'll be my honorable mention, just because there were a couple of times where I thought he ran really well, but I don't think that he was as influential as we needed him to be. And I think Konate is just all sorts of wrong. I think he's all sorts of wrong right now. So he's my good, could do better. I think that he needs to be taken out of the team based on the last couple, the last couple of performances haven't been as bad as this one, but I've said to you guys before, I don't know why my eye keeps being drawn to him, but the more I pay attention to him, the more it's when he has the opportunity to take control, he's not giving any sort of control to the team like he did in years past. He feels so incredibly erratic. And it's sort of like watching Kirkez in the back line, where he feels erratic as well. And it's the one word that you don't want associated with your back line. You don't want erratic defenders. And that's kind of how Ibu has felt. He's just felt super, super shaky. So, yeah, those are my 3.
Kev?
Yeah, man of the match is tough. Thought Bradley did as well as he could against Doku. So he'd probably pip it. Mamardashvili, yeah, did well with the penalty, but you concede 3, irrespective of whether you can do anything about it or not. It's not great. And Kanate was bag of nerves, especially for the first goal, because he shouldn't have been anywhere near it. Bradley had the situation under control. He needed to be standing off that. Be there for the cutback, not be there to try to clear it. And if you're going to clear it, clear ball, clear man, clear everything. Just get rid and rosette it. Don't try to fucking tippy-toe it out off of someone. It's just stupid.
Try to be too clever, wasn't he? Sorry.
Yeah. Once you get into that situation, I mean, look, he'll get slated for their third. There's nothing you can do about that. He forces him to take a shot from outside the box, and he curls it an absolute peach. Mamardashvili can't get anywhere near it. He's 6'6", full stretch, and it's hitting the inside of the post. But Andy puts a comment in there. Biggest problem nobody touched on is our right-hand side, and an absolute non-factor in the build-up, and he's right. Mo today, mainly in the first half, he was a non-factor. He couldn't, when he got the ball to his feet or up to him, he couldn't hold it up. Your man who plays left back, I keep forgetting his fucking name, Riley.
O'Reilly. He played very well.
I mean, he played really well against him. 6'4", big unit, and it's the kind of fullback that Mo really does struggle against consistently, not just against him. But he had his back to play. He had his back to goal almost all through the first half. And
he ran significantly less than he normally does.
Yeah. And if you can't get the ball on the turn and run at a fullback, you're fighting an uphill battle. I think the only other thing that you could look at is maybe Bradley in an attacking sense. Could he force Doku to go the other way more? But we never really got in a position too often in the first half for him to be able to join an attack. Whereas it seemed like the way we were set up in the first half, even at 1-0, was try to keep that back four intact as much as possible and not overextend yourself to be hit on the counter if it breaks down. So we didn't take enough risks on that right-hand side. So I get where Andy's coming from on that.
Cool. I'll probably go Mamardashvili, man of the match. I think Bradley honourable mention because Mark and the form Doku was on was tough, but I think he did as well as he could with a very lack of support. And then could do better. I think the manager should do better. I think tactically he got it wrong, and I felt he was a bit too passive in his reactions to anything, especially second half. And I think he criticism for that is fair. I think asking for his head's probably a bit too in my head's not for me, but that's just me. But I don't think he got a lot right today. So I think he deserves criticism for that. Right, let's go to Ashley's corner. Right, Kev, I'll leave you in charge here, so we don't both take over and end up.
Ashley, I'm just going to start at the top and work our way down. Okay.
Sure. Okay. So this is from the PGMOL. This is the sort of doubling down that they came out with. It says the referee's call for offside and no goal to LFC was checked and confirmed by VAR with Robertson in an offside position and deemed to be making an obvious action directly in front of the goalkeeper. So that's the PGMOL's version of events. The exact same kind of incident, like I said earlier, happened in the Wolves game. This is the PGMOL statement post that match. It said Bernardo Silva was initially deemed to be in an offside position close to the goalkeeper, Jose Sa, but referee Chris Kavanagh, same referee as today, overturned the decision after, I think it's supposed to say going to the monitor. So PGMOL, same incident, two completely different statements. Just throwing this out here for everyone to kind of peruse on their own. Gary Neville was asked on the disallowed goal, He says, I think Robertson is outside of the eye line of the keeper. I think Slot is right to be fuming. The keeper is not getting anywhere near that. He had a clear line of sight. Just the XG for the game. So for any of our listeners on Spotify, it says Man City's XG was 0.90 and Liverpool's was 1.40. So XG is not the whole story, folks. For those of you that are XG nerds, I know that you're out there. Gary Neville on Liverpool's Disallowed goal continued. This was pretty strong from Neville. He said, it's just blatant cheating, isn't it? That's an embarrassing decision. Really, really embarrassing. So we'll see if he gets any sort of follow-up from calling out the cheating. Let's see, this was just a fact. Liverpool's away record in 2025, we've played 22. We've won 8, drawn 3, and lost 11. 5 defeats from the last 6 away. Our away form is absolutely atrocious. You guys highlighted that earlier in the show. I just threw this in here just to kind of back it up with some numbers. All right.
Thanks for that.
Of course. Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to help there. Getting to the actual quotes now, just sorry, we were jumping around there. So Virgil was the one that was interviewed post-match. He said, in football, the officials are deciding the key decisions, and we have to deal with it on the pitch. There is no point discussing this from my point of view. The reality is we lost 3-0.
Just to pick up on that, I think because of the manner Liverpool got defeated, a bollock up like that, I think, gets brushed under the carpet. If that had finished 1-0, I think it's a bigger story, and I think the PGMOL have a lot more pressure. I think because Liverpool got battered 3-0 deservedly, before everyone thinks I'm making excuses, I think that the PGMOL get away with that. And I think that's the problem, is they seem to be getting away with those sort of things, whereas if that game finishes 1-0, I think there's murder with the PGMOL the next day.
Yeah, well, they seem to like to push things under the rug. That's kind of what they do. So Virgil continued, it doesn't matter what I say about the goal, because anything I say will be in the media, and the whole international break will be about my comment on the decision. He continues, I just focus on the fact that we lost. You guys can debate if it should have stood. So that was kind of Virgil van Dijk's final comments. He didn't really come out saying anything like, oh, well, we should have done better or anything. It was just kind of facts, and that was it. And then Arne Slot came out and he said, it is the wrong decision that this goal was not allowed, but I will not say that this is why we lost the game. He said, I saw a team trying to come back into the game, but it wasn't enough today, and that is clear. He continues, last season when we were 8 points clear, it didn't feel like it was done already. We shouldn't talk about the number 1 position. We should focus on our performance that needs to be better. On fixing a lot of problems, he says, I don't know if that is the solution. Today, I don't think, apart from that decision, that it was ever going to be our game. He continues, in general, they were the better team. We need to improve, but I didn't need this game to know this. He says, you cannot predict how the second half would have gone. It was obvious and clear that City were the better team in the first half.
Was that in relation? That must have been in relation to a question about making changes at halftime, maybe.
Maybe. I don't have the context for that.
Or maybe it would have been, how would the game have panned out if that goal had been allowed?
I think it was more that.
And I think he's just playing it down, going, because he doesn't want it to be an excuse. It's more of a, it happened, you guys discuss whether you think it should be a goal or not. We think it should be, but we weren't good enough. Because that's the
we weren't good enough. So Slot continues here. He says, they were dominating the game and they were better than us. We were having a lot of problems and trouble bringing the ball out from the back, so we lost it early, and then they started playing. There's a few more in there, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Getting there. Calm down.
Sorry.
She's very impatient, she can.
Sorry, I'm not in a good mood after that game.
Fair enough.
Shocker.
Understandable.
Shocker.
You're hiding it well, though, so it's good.
No, you're not.
So Slot continues. He says, straight after the game, someone showed me a video of the exact same referee allowing a similar goal for City against Wolves last season. That's
Ashley, are you sending Arne Slot emails?
I might have sent him a sneaky text.
I don't believe
Sorry. He's in on our Ref Watch show. It's great. There are a
He
few
is a
quotes from Pep.
subscriber.
Well, keep listening, Slot. We've got plans. Pep Guardiola came out afterwards, talked a little bit about Connor Bradley. I just threw these in here for a little bit of balance. Connor Bradley from Liverpool, I'm really impressed. Pep Linders told me 1,000 incredible things about him. He can do everything. And he finishes against Madrid and Vinicius Jr. Wow. And so Jeremy Doku played an outstanding game. He did. Jeremy Doku did everything that I thought Vinicius was going to do.
Do you know what?
So much more.
Yeah. That's actually brilliant from Pep.
Mm.
That's Pep Guardiola bigging up Jeremy Doku without mentioning Jeremy Doku's name.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And look, he's been around the game a long time. He's not going to
his 1,000th game in charge.
Yeah, he's not going to blow smoke up his own player's arse, but that's a way of giving his own player confidence. Look what that fullback
Rightfully
did.
So.
Look what that guy did to Vinicius, who literally didn't turn up to pick up a Ballon d'Or he felt he was entitled to, and you've just gone and had the game of your life against Liverpool and was rightly named man of the match, having come off on 70 minutes. Do you know what I mean? It's like, Guardiola.
Be honest. When you watched him, I know that we have talked down Doku in the past.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Doku of last year, I wouldn't have in a million years. But watching him today, I saw all the things that we're missing in our forward line in terms of our pace, our directness, our ability to kind of cause defenses problems just by being a menace.
Yeah.
Like watching him, I'm like, we have no one like that in our team, and we need someone like that in our team. And it doesn't not Doku specifically, but someone like that. It just
pace.
Jeremy Doku,
trickery, all the things.
Yeah, Jeremy Doku last year was a dribbling machine. He would go past people left, right, and center, and his end product, his final ball was terrible. It was shocking. The difference, it just goes to show you the difference what a year makes. This season, his decision making, he still beats players for fun. He's still really strong in the dribble, but his decision making so far this year has been really, really good. Plus, I think with Pep Linders there, they're using their wingers in a different way. They're using them more along the lines of what we used to use with inside forwards, rather than wingers like Guardiola used to have, the likes of Jack Grealish standing on the wing and just staying there. They're much more involved in the play this year, and I think not so much today, but when I've watched Doku in other games this season, he's been 15 yards inside getting on the ball. And Foden might start and defend on the wing, but when he's involved in the game, you try to get them both involved in the width of the 18-yard box to be more influential. Today, he was more on the outside, and they supported him in a different way. But in general, I think he's been used in a different way, and you can see how Linders is having an effect on how they're setting up from an attacking sense. This comment came in earlier, and it was talking about some of the decisions that were made by with the transfers earlier in the season, talking about there was no need to sell Luis Diaz or Gerald Kwanzaa. Well, Gerald Kwanzaa, in my opinion, needed the move because he wasn't going to develop under Arne Slot in the way he's now developing at Leverkusen, because he's playing week in, week out.
He had a difficult season last year as well.
Yeah.
Let's not be honest. Let's be honest.
But the thing is, once a player is injured or once a player is gone, suddenly they're seen in a different light. Luis Diaz asked to leave Liverpool twice, and this summer he made it clear that he wanted to leave. And given everything that happened in the summer, the club facilitated it, and he is absolutely on fire for Bayern Munich. Luis Diaz is a phenomenal player, but when any player asks to leave your club twice, you let them go.
And also considering the way, like the one thing that is always kind of forgotten about with Diaz, look, watching Diaz go on another level is painful for all of us, and we all agree that we're missing that player in our team. But one thing that's really important to remember with him is that he wanted incredibly high wages, and he wasn't being paid enough to warrant, the levels that he was at. So he was right in asking for it. But
But I think the level
wage structure right now is really fragile. And when we talk about a top 4 race, it becomes even more fragile. And if you had Diaz in this team as well, up at our top earning levels, like around Verts and stuff, like you become very limited in what you can do and how you can maneuver. We are already very limited. It's going to become a problem and a discussion that if this team can't get on track, we're going to be in big trouble with our wages. So adding another person on really big wages, we were not. I mean,
here's a commentary. No, we didn't pay him enough. Do you know what? He signed the contract. He signed the contract. He was happy enough to accept the contract, and we got a really good fee for him. He asked to leave twice, and
that's Moneyball in a nutshell, though, right?
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
what you want from.
You have to.
You want.
And again, I can see other silly comments here saying, "Yeah, we're stingy." Have a look at all, and this is not even FSG, or whatever you want to call it. You can go look at Liverpool's wage bill. It's one of the highest.
I'm not even sure if that's facetious or not. We're not stingy by any means. We are I think second or third highest playing club in this country.
Yeah. No player signs a contract that they don't want to sign.
Yeah.
Luis Diaz negotiated a contract and he signed a contract. All right. At the end of the day, that's it. He asked to leave. First of all, as Chris pointed out earlier, he wanted to go to City. That was rejected. Then he wanted to go to Bayern Munich, and that was facilitated.
He wanted to go to Barcelona.
Yeah, we got a really good fee for a really good.
Another comment is, I need to correct this. Saying Diaz the same problem, Manny, underpaid and underappreciated. Nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. Sadio Mane was adored at Liverpool, highly rated, and even his own agent, you can Google it, came out and said Sadio Mane is happy at the wages on. His wages are much higher than what is being reported in the paper. What is being reported in the paper, he was on more than that at Southampton. So again, but because someone spouts it on social media.
We all thought we got great money for him too. Yeah. Like he's 29 years old. If you were going to sign him to a new deal, it was going to be big money. Like to get that much for a 29-year-old, and fair. He's looked like a really good buy for Bayern. There was a period of time where Bayern was like, why the fuck are we paying this much money for Diaz?
Well, he lasted a year.
He's come good.
Yeah, he
lasted right now.
I was going to say, Mane lasted a year. And then 40 for Mane, his legs were,
like all of these things are, we're looking back at it in hindsight. I understand. Kwanzaa looks like, I wish we had Kwanzaa right now.
I don't think he's ripping it up. I don't think he's ripping it up in Germany. I think he's doing all right.
I think that you see some fantastic goals. He's playing in a less challenging, less demanding league. We have no idea what he would look like in our team right now. We have no idea if he would be the Luis Diaz that you're seeing at Bayern in this Liverpool squad.
The one thing I'm happy enough with Kwanzaa is he's going out. He's getting the experience that he needs. He needs to play. He needs a volume of football, and he needs to do that week in, week out. We have the option to bring him back. We have the option. I think it's in 18 months.
I think it's 2 full years from when we sold him.
So we have the option to bring him back. We got really good money for Luis Diaz for a player of his age. And look, he's doing really, really well. And best of luck to him. Luis Diaz, it was a phenomenal player for Liverpool. But you can't keep players who don't want to be there. You just don't. All right? It's not a way forward. It's not a good business model. And it's not good for the dressing room because all you need is 1 or 2 toxic players in there, especially when things aren't going well. It's easy enough to be in a dressing room when things are going really well. But if it's not going well and there's any slight hint of disharmony, I mean, can you imagine if we were playing and we were in this run 12 months ago? Imagine the conversations you're having with the contract talks about Virgil, Salah, and Trent. If we're in the position we are now 12 months ago, it would be wall to wall. This chat is really tame compared to what that chat would have been like. So it is what it is. You live and die by decisions you make in the transfer window. And ultimately, they didn't buy. Let me finish. They didn't buy players for 3 months. They bought players, young players predominantly. I think one of the oldest players that we bought this summer was Alexander Isak. So the players that we've bought are young and they're going to develop. All right. I think Kirkes is younger than Bradley. So the idea that this squad this summer spend was for the now is for the birds. It wasn't. It's for the long term. And Arne Slot's going to be given time to make it work. But I honestly expect him to add to the squad. Someone mentioned Anton Semenyo in the chat earlier on. That rumour is flying about. And I expect now any January deals that any club is doing, the talks for those January deals have started, or they're going to start in this international break. So I fully expect Liverpool to do something in January, be that in a 6, be that at centre-back, or be that a forward. Whichever way they decide to go, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see a sale. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see 1 or 2 in. So, time will tell. But yeah, this squad is going to develop. It is going to take time. And we're just going to have to fucking bite our bottom lip as much as humanly fucking possible. And you're going to get days like this. It is what it is. There's no point in fucking crying about it.
But as we saw earlier in the week, Kev, a couple of wins could do a world of good.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the confidence levels, especially among the fan base, you get 2 good wins, 2 good performances, and you're going into City thinking, yeah, everything's right and rosy in the garden. It's probably a reality check for everyone today. There's a lot of work still to do, and it's not going to come. It's not going to come easy. The lucky thing is you're not playing against a side like City every week, who are going to fucking be as threatening as that, or as dominating on the ball as that. They're going to, the likes of Forest and Spurs and other sides like that pose you different problems, but you'll get a lot more of the ball and you'll get a lot more chances against those kind of sides. And you got to make it count. We got to get wins on the board. This next run of fixtures, this period now, once we come back to March, it's a lot of football that's going to be played, and Arne Slot's going to have to use the squad as much as he can. So look, it's up to him now.
It is. Right. So don't forget, the guys will be back later. Gavin, the guy who's doing post-match, sort of like the Sunday show, have a look at this in a bit more detail. And then we've got 2 weeks of international football, so we hope you're watching that. So please,
Speak for yourself.
Well, I won't be watching it. Become a patron, because we're going to do lots of shows on Patreon. We're going to do a lot of stuff on, probably analysing this game with video clips. We'll do Ashley's show of Ref Watch. And then
That'll be a long one this week.
Yeah, and then we'll have a bit of fun, probably looking at old games, quizzes, drafts, the usual excitements, all that sort of stuff. So it'll be good, all be good fun.
We'll talk about things that aren't doom and gloom, I think, as well. It's not going to be all doom and gloom.
Yeah, we can't talk about this for 2 weeks. God, brought tears out of you.
No.
So once this is done, now I'm forgetting about it. Once this is done, I can't carry it with me.
Just hit delete on this.
Yeah, I don't care.
And then after that, then the build up starts again. Get ready for Forest at Anfield on the 22nd of November. But that's it really. So listen, please become a patron. It's cost of a pint. Try it for a month, see if you like it. If you do, cracking, stay in. You can join our chats and all that sort of stuff. If you don't like it, no hard feelings, no worries. But until then, goodbye from Ash, goodbye from Kev, and we'll speak to you all very soon. Kev, take us home.